What's up guys, welcome to Munchkins Gaming, where we take your gaming to the next level. This is Munchkins logging in to bring you your Brave Cross Hero of the Week. This week's Hero of the Week is the Reaper himself, Deathstar. Deathstar is considered as a front support hero with ratings of S for survivability, S for DPS, and A for support. His main skill is called lethality, where he summons the Reaper, dealing current HP loss times 0.1 plus 0.1 times the current hero star level damage to enemies with the least HP. This deals a max of 30k damage to boss enemies, and this also factors in the target's defense. If the target's HP left is lower than the skill damage, then it is executed, including Dragoon with Dragon Guts. Each executed unit increases all ally HP restoration by 60 times the hero star level per 1 second. This is also stackable and lasts for 10 seconds. His basic attack deals 70% attack damage to all enemies within 200 range. All allies within 200 range, including himself, receives healing equal to 70% damage. Basic attack damage is considered as rage loss. His main talents include Endurance, where Deathstar sacrifices his attack speed for unprecedented survival. Attack interval is locked at 4 and can't be buffed by any other attack speed. Increases effect. This gains 35% damage reduced rate and 50% magic damage reduced rate. Receives healing increase 100%. Each time allies use a skill, Deathstar gains a endurance seal. Each seal increases Deathstar's melee damage reduced rate by 2%. This can be stacked up to 8 times. If there is an enemy star caller, however, Deathstar has a 50% chance to fail at obtaining a seal. HP 5, Rage 5 are all self-explanatory, and he's got extreme measures as well. After the Descent of Death damages the target, all enemy units within 200 range receives a 70% splash damage. However, splash damage can't trigger execution. His mythic ability is called the Seal Ritual. When Deathstar collects 8 endurance seals, he consumes all seals to activate 9 seconds of Fallen Divinity, increasing melee magic and bow reduced rate by 70% and immunity to snares. Deathstar can't gain any seals during Fallen Divinity, however. Valiant Riders and Winged Tiger are achieved once you get 6 and 7 stars, and they of course give you more defensive buffs. His unity is called includes Heart, where it is currently locked, however, and Uncanny is unlocked once you get Eternus. Now that I've explained his skills and talents, I think it's time we go through his pros and cons. As always, we'll start with the pros. Let's start off with his skill lethality. So with lethality, basically dealing the current HP loss, so the more HP that Star has, the higher damage that he will produce. So, however, this does factor in the target's defense, but it does execute the target when the target's HP remaining is lower than the skill damage. I mean, I think that's pretty obvious that the target will die if your skill damage is higher. I don't think the game needs to explain to you that when you have higher damage and their HP is less than that they will die. So I don't know why they actually wrote this in. It doesn't need to be explained. You could have just said the target is executed, and this includes Dragoon with Dragon Guts. So this is a big thing when it comes to countering Dragoon. However, I still don't see this happening anytime soon unless you have a really strong DPS to go with Deathstar. The good thing about this is, of course, Each executed unit increases all ally HP restoration by 60 times the hero star level. So once you get to 7, basically, once you get to 7 stars, you'll basically get another 420 healing and per 1 second, which is stackable as well, which lasts for 10 seconds. It's a pretty nice buff and a pretty nice restorative ability. So let's go through his basic attacks. Now his basic attack only deals about 70% attack damage to all enemies in 200 range. However, you do get 70% of the damage as heals. So Deathstar is pretty good when it comes to supporting your heroes. I do believe this basic attacks, however, it may it may look like it's pretty low, but at a higher level, the restorative power is of course increased. Now let's get into the meat and bones of Deathstar. Endurance is probably one of the things that make Deathstar, I guess, more unique than the other front support or tank heroes. So Deathstar is basically sacrificing his attack speed for survival. Now his attack interval is pretty crap. It's gonna be the lowest in the game, so it's locked at 4 and can't be buffed by any other attack speed buffs or anything from other heroes. However, he does gain 35% damage reduce rate, 50% magic reduce rate, and receives 100% healing as well. So you can't really say that it's a really bad skill. So you're not getting any sort of DPS when it comes to Deathstar, so you will get a lot of tanking abilities. And of course, each time the allies uses a skill, which is their awakening, Deathstar does gain an endurance seal, which each seal increases Deathstar's melee damage reduce rate by 2% and can of course be stacked up to 8 times. So this is another 16% if you do get up to there. Another 16% damage reduce rate from the melee. I mean, he already has 35% damage reduce rate all across the board, 50% magic reduce rate, and of course the healing as well. So if you add another 18%, he's gonna be pretty hard to kill. However, this seems to be a little bit unrealistic to happen because of the way that the fight happens. I guess if it's a long drawn out fight, then yeah, you can maximize on Deathstar's ability. And of course, there's a little bit of con when it comes to endurance. If there is a star caller in the enemy's team, then there is a 50% chance that it'll fail. So the other good thing that I want to mention when it comes to Deathstar is of course his extreme measures, where he will give you that little bit of extra DPS because of this splash damage that you will get from the execution. So and of course the mythic ability, which is currently locked at the time of this recording, is of course another huge buff when it comes to I guess giving him a little bit more tanking abilities. So he'll end up using all those 8 seals that he's used if it is a drawn out fight. So, and he activates 9 seconds of Fallen Divinity, which is increasing melee magic and bow reduce rate by another 70%. It's just over 100% but at this point if he uses Seal Ritual. Of course, he can't gain any seals during this ability. And I do want to mention that 6 and 7 stars does give you more damage reduce rate, so immune rate as well. So he does benefit from getting to 7 star as soon as you can. Now let's go through the cons. As I said before, he doesn't have any good DPS, so you might as well throw that out of the window. And to be honest, his HP and defense aren't that good either. So if I have to compare him, as always, I like to compare my front heroes with XMK3 or Fated Cure Knight or Fated XMK3, sorry. I feel that his defense in HPs is quite a little bit lower than, of course, the Fated XMK3 and Fated Cure Knight especially. So the survivability is there when it comes to the reduction of the damage, but the defense and HP aren't quite up there. So it's a little bit give and take. So but I still do feel that he is a good tank, and especially if you get to 7 stars, then you will get Winged Tiger as well. So that's one of the cons that I have noticed. And of course, there's the con of the locked attack speed, and if there's an enemy, if there's an enemy, what's the name? Enemy Star Caller, that took a while. That he does have 50% chance to fail obtaining a seal, so you do have to pick your fights. If there is a Star Caller in the enemy's team, you probably don't want to put your Deathstar out there because you won't be able to maximize his abilities. And of course, the only other thing I can think about is gaining his shards. The only way you can really get his shards in a consistent manner is doing lair and spending your lair points. And he's not cheap. He's about 3,500 layer points for 5 shards, which is pretty huge, to be honest. And that's a lot more points than Fleur. So now that we've talked about the pros and cons, so what do I think of Deathstar? So let's start off with PvE. Now in PvE, unfortunately, there's not a lot of place for Deathstar. However, he is an Imperial hero, and if you need an Imperial tank that can take a lot of damage, then Deathstar is your guy. However, I must emphasize that he doesn't have the best DPS. So if you're gonna bring Deathstar in your Imperial only Dominion floors, you have to make sure that the other heroes that you do bring gives you a good amount of DPS, because that seems to be the biggest problem when it comes to Imperials only Dominion floors is the DPS. And of course there is the survivability issue, but it's more the DPS issue later on. Other than that, there aren't really any places for PvE when it comes to Deathstar. Unless you're really dying really quickly on things, then you probably want that extra heal that he does bring. But that extra heal only comes every time he attacks, which is very, very slow. But however, it is extra healing, so if you need that, then go ahead and use Deathstar. But I think the greatest place where Deathstar will shine is, of course, the PvP. There's a lot of good tanks out there right now, including Fated Red Mask and, of course, Fated Dragoon. Marcus is probably one of them as well. And there's quite a lot of good tanks to choose from. And I think Deathstar can stay competitive when it comes to tanking, and of course because of his abilities. You can even probably try double tanking just to annoy your opponent, especially if you have a red mask when you're defending. You know, that is extra healing, and he does give out you know, good, I guess, good buffs for himself, and I think he will prove to be quite annoying in PvP. However, like I said, there are a lot of great tanks out there, so, and it's very hard to get his shards. So that's all I have to say about Deathstar. Remember to click like, subscribe, and share on this video if you find it helpful at all. As always, I would like to hear from you guys. Have you guys been using Deathstar, and what do you think of him? This is Munchkins logging off, and I'll see you guys in the next level.